Yeah, we do have some technical difficulties. We did have some videos, but we can't access them at the moment. So I'm really sorry about that.
We've been on our own Zoom since 10. Yesterday we had a run through. Videos came in, screen shared, fine, and could see the videos, no problem. So we thought, well, we'll go through it again this morning just to make sure. Anne can hear the videos but can't see them. I've tried 2 different computers and it still doesn't work. So we've got the final way we're doing it is we're now currently transferring the videos over to Juliet, who hopefully will say, oh, we've got them. So it won't be as smooth as it was yesterday afternoon, I'm afraid. So without little video clips, it won't be as stimulating to you. It'll just be me and Anne talking, I'm afraid. But
yeah, sorry about
anyway,
that. Okay.
Hopefully something will happen. So this morning this is our second year at this conference. Last year we did a more general thing about maths, but this year we thought we would look at more about how children actually learn maths and what they need from their maths facilitator to enable them to learn to the best of their ability. Now, when we talk about children, we actually believe that every child can learn maths if they're presented with it in the right way for them at the right time in their maths journey. We've got great experience with children who have carried on with that maths journey, got to the age of 10 or 11 and absolutely fallen to pieces and hated maths, and we've done a lot of work with those particular children, both in schools and in other contexts, and have turned them back onto maths and made them believe again that they can learn. And through doing that, we've had a real think about what wasn't right, not what went wrong, but what wasn't right for that child. And we're talking about children who are good at maths, children who are not so good at maths, children who are slower to pick things up, all different learning styles of children. And this is sort of our conclusion, and our purpose today is to actually say to you, as the maths facilitator for your child, think about if your child isn't learning the way you want them to be learning, or you expect them to be learning, think about how you're doing the facilitating. And it's not about saying, oh, you're doing it wrong. It is about challenging you to think about your own practice, which is actually the way that we support children with maths. We challenge them to think about what's going on in their minds. Do you want to say something, Anne?
Yeah. The thing is, we're not here to say you're not doing it right or you're doing it, that's not the issue. The thing, and it was basically answer focused. It didn't matter what you do. You do this process, you get the right answer. Maths is black and white. Actually, it isn't. And this is what we've come to the conclusion. And we've challenged ourselves with the children we've been working with, which actually is from, in school terms, year 2 to year 9, which is quite a spread. And we've thought about how best to teach. And what we've come to the conclusion is that it's not process that's important. The answer, though important, isn't the main focus. The main focus is
thinking. Explaining.
That's it, exactly. Thinking and concepts. Concepts are how you do something, why you do it, where process is the answer. And really, the answer, though important, is not the be all and end all. We've really had to think about that. And it was hard for us, to be honest, because being teachers for a number of years, you just accept that this is how you do maths.
Yeah, and we found that we were just repeating, using the models that we'd had when we were learning maths. So, and we realized that these particular children, the ones that for whatever reason weren't achieving what was expected for them. And again, we're not saying they have to achieve this level, we're saying what's expected for them. We had to take a completely different approach. And just at that point, Jerome Seymour Bruner came into our lives. He is an American child psychologist who believed that when learning a new concept, not only in maths, but in any way, any kind of learning, children needed to go through a 3-stage process, which is, that other word again, but to start with the concrete. So always start with something to move, moving their own body, using something, cutting something out and putting it there, or always start from the concrete. Now that's quite an easy thing to do when you've got children who are quite young, because most of what they do is about moving things about, and you wouldn't dream of trying to get them to learn something new in maths without actually having bits and pieces there. The struggle we've had is trying to convince older children that they need to start with these objects or whatever it is, depending on the concept that we're working on, because they think that's for the babies. Now that would be in a school context. With your children, it's much easier for you because your children are used to working in your way. Now we've sorry, can you say something, Anne? Because I've just lost my train of thought there.
It's it. I've got all the sorry
Okay.
guys to interrupt. I've got all the videos now. Do you want to just tell me which one you want me to do? And
right, if you could just well, I don't think we need do you think we need that first one?
Yeah, because I'd like you all to see this, because
right.
Not only is it useful, it's funny.
This is the one that we were going to start after our introduction, our whole thing with this, and it's Mr. Incredible Does Maths.
this one here.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let's see. Can you see it?
We can see the thing.
Do you have sound?
No, we haven't got a video. So has it not worked with you either then?
No.
No, right.
Sorry about that.
So there must be something wrong with those. I just don't know. I've tried every single thing I knew this morning, and I just, and it's such a shame because we've got a really nice video of one of our home editors. She did it for us this morning.
And maybe we can get that up later and actually attach it onto your exhibitors booth, or upload it as a video within Hoover, so people can catch up on it. I'm sure we can work on that.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, we followed Bruner, and I have to say, if you come across Singapore Maths or Mastery for Maths, which are the buzzwords at the moment, it's all based on Bruner. So we've been doing this for years, and he starts with what they call manipulatives, where you have to use things, and then moves on to pictorial representations, and it's only then that you move into the
abstract.
Oh, sorry.
You can see why we work so well together, but anyway.
I went blank, sorry.
We've just been a bit, we do apologize because we've been a bit thrown without these, and we've got to stop it, Anne. We've got to get going. So, now you might wonder why children need to be able to do that, because why is process like, this is what you learn, this is how you do it, this is how you get your answer? Why is that no use anymore? Or why is that not used so much anymore? It's because children have so much in their minds that if they've learned through process, it's always done in the same steps. And those steps are not necessarily useful for every child. It's not the way every child's mind works. It's the way someone decided that's how we all should learn. So nowadays, it's more about offering children a chance to work things out for themselves. Think about Countdown. If you've ever watched Countdown and the numbers game on Countdown. Now, or the people might get the same answer, but come at it from a completely different direction. And basically, if they were doing it in a process way, they will both have exactly the same answer and have added exactly the same and multiplied exactly the same. But as long as they get there in the end, it doesn't matter what path they take, as long as their path is efficient and effective. That's the important thing. And Anne's going to be controversial now and ask me a question.
The thing is, we've discussed this long and hard, and I mean, I want to know: can you actually learn maths from a book, from a screen, or from a worksheet?
And I would say no.
So would I.
Because from a book, from a screen, from a worksheet, a child works with it maybe on their own, and that again is answer focused. The only way the maths facilitator has of checking their understanding is by looking at the answer. And if the answer's wrong, the facilitator has no way of knowing whether it's wrong because there was a slight little calculation error, or whether it's wrong because they've got completely the wrong idea about how to do that particular thing. So what we're saying is, you need, in order to facilitate maths for your child, for the best for your child, is that it needs a human being to sit beside them and to ask questions. I don't know if you noticed, but we did attach to our thing on the Learn Free thing a PDF of some questions, open-ended questions that can be used for any, well, not even just maths, for anything your child's learning. So that what you're doing is you're asking questions that make the child think before they can answer. And it's not more, it's more about, why did you decide to do that? How do you think, how do you think this might have happened? Those kind of questions. Because what children are very good at is making things up for themselves. If they have a misconception, and we all have that when we're learning something new, we all mishear something, just happen to look out the window at the wrong time, thinking about, oh, I'm a bit hungry, I wonder if I'm going to get a drink of milk, and miss something that's vitally important. And that if nobody then checks with us whether we've got that right, we carry on thinking that that's how it is. I'll give you, for instance, I picked my granddaughter up from school the other week, and we were just walking home, and she said, I had maths today and it was boring. And I said, well, no, maths is never boring. And she said, oh, I didn't understand it. So I said, oh, well, tell me what it was. So she said it was maths. So I said, what kind of maths? And she just stamped her foot like 6-year-olds do and said, maths. So I said, oh, tell me what you were doing. She said, oh, well, we had things, and we had some weighing scales, and we were putting things in, and we were checking on their maths. And I said, do you mean maths, Martha? And she said, well, that's what I said. I said, no, you said maths. I said, maths is what you probably think of as weight. And as soon as I said that to her, she went, oh, I get it now. So basically, she'd misheard the word maths because it was a new word, thought it had said maths, and then after that, everything her teacher said to her didn't make sense to her, because she was thinking maths. And actually her teacher was talking about how heavy things are. And as soon as I corrected that little misunderstanding, all of the maths lesson made sense to her.
Yeah.
And it's gone.
Well, it's what we explain it by. Maths is the one subject that you've got to build on. You start off at the bottom and you gradually build. And if you don't get it right at the bottom, nothing else will make sense eventually. And we call this the red and the blue bricks. You build a wall with red bricks. Children understand, fantastic, build the wall. Suddenly, a misconception occurs. That's the blue brick. So they put the blue brick in because it's not been fixed up quickly enough. So that goes on, and eventually there's more and more blue bricks. So they get to about 8 or 9, and suddenly the wall falls down because they haven't got enough basic maths knowledge and understanding to build on anymore. And let me tell you, it's so much harder to have to get rid of the blue bricks and put a red brick in, because it's really hard to unlearn something. It's much easier when you're sitting next to a child by using a question or watching what they're doing or asking them to explain. If a misconception occurs, you can correct it, redirect very quickly, make sure they understand, and then suddenly there's a red brick. So that's the best way we can think of to explain that. But misconceptions occur in everything, but they're particularly important in maths because it's a subject that you do need the basics to build upon. If you haven't got that, the whole thing will crumble.
And the other thing children are good at is making it make sense. So if they do have a misconception, then they make it make sense to themselves on that day and in that particular activity, so that they can, so it does just make sense. But when they come to use that particular concept again later on, which they do continually through maths, the same concepts occur at a different level all the way up to, you know, maths at university.
Yes.
It relies on things that children have learnt before. And if they've got a misunderstanding, or if they've made it make sense for themselves, when they come to use it again, it just doesn't work. And that's the point when children start to go, I don't like maths, because what they're really saying is, it's just doesn't make sense to me anymore.
In my head. And if you have that concept, you don't need to hold it in your head because you understand it and you can use it in different ways.
Now, we did have another little clip here where I don't know if any of you watch Our Yorkshire Farm. We stole a bit from there where the dad's out with the youngest child and he's getting her to count the cows. And Anne and I have got a maths programme that we've written alongside home educators that tries to make maths as to fit in with general life, so that you're counting the dirty washing as you're putting it in the washing machine, you're putting the socks together to make pairs, so all of those kind of activities. So we really liked this where dad was out with little Nancy counting the cows, and it was great because in this little short clip dad redirected Nancy with her counting twice, because she just went she just was going 1 2 3 4 5, and the first redirect was, oh, remember you have to count each one. And then the second redirect, because then she just went 15 17 16 19 20 21. The second redirect that dad did was, remember when we're counting, Nancy, we always start at 1. And so he saw it straight away and did something that redirected her, that even while they were just giving the cows food, that was maths. And it's that knowing, and it's easy with counting because it's quite obvious that when a child makes a mistake, but with other concepts, and particularly as children get older, it's not so obvious. So that's why we say that maths is learnt best with another human being. Now, we say a human being because it doesn't have to be you if you're the main home educator. If you've got 2 or 3 children and the oldest can introduce a concept to the youngest, because in we'll call it teaching, but it's not teaching, is it? in teaching the youngest child how to do that concept, it consolidates the older child's learning and give them chance to look at what they know about it. And if you can hear what that child's saying, again, that's your way of knowing that the older child, yeah, actually definitely has got that concept, because if they can share it with somebody else and get somebody else to understand it, then, you know,
Yeah,
that,
it is important. And I know being a home educator is difficult if you've got more than one child. Where do you find the time? But to be absolutely honest, no, with maths and the way we've done it, you could do 10 minutes with one child, 10 minutes with another child, and half an hour with another one. So, and if you're doing things around the house, you can incorporate the maths into what you're doing. We've tried to make it as easy as possible, because we know from what home educators have told us, they don't always have the time. And it's much easier to say, well, you can do that. I'll leave you to it. I'll go and do something else, and I'll come back and check. And I do understand that. And in other subjects,
yeah,
that might be a way forward, but I'm not convinced it's the case in maths. As Pam said, you do need to be there to correct, to redirect immediately, because once that concept
gets embedded,
then you have to unlearn, and that is so much harder. And what that clip was, if we can get them, we'll put them on the end. It was lovely to see the way he redirected. It was just the dad talking to his daughter, and she was great. She was waving her hands around. Well, don't we count each one, and don't we start from one? And he was really good. There was another clip which was very interesting. It was a little girl. She was actually counting eggs in a box. And what was interesting there, her mother was watching her, and she touched each one beautifully. And then she got to 11, and then she said 14. And her mum said, oh, well, right, add that egg. So she counted again beautifully, one-to-one correspondence, touching each egg. And she said 11, 14, 16. And it made sense to her. She had worked this out. She couldn't remember 12, 13, or 15 because they don't make sense. 14 is 4 and 10. What's 15? What's 12? So she had her own way. She got rid of them. And she just carried on counting. She knew what to do. She knew to touch. She knew that counting carried on. But they were just, no, I don't like those. I don't know what they are. Forget them. I'll just carry 14, 16, 17, 18. And because she did it twice, that's something her mother could pick up on. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't an accident. It was a misconception. So the clip ended there, but we assume and hope that our mother would be able to go back and do something about it. We actually do that, which we'll show you later. We do have a method of doing that. But it's really interesting to see how minor misconceptions can change everything.
And basically what we're saying to you is, if you do leave children, it's okay to leave children practicing a concept they've already learned with you or with another human being. But if you're leaving them to learn concepts from a book, then they're not going to learn the best they can.
I have to say, I'm sorry, Pam, I have to say, there is a place for worksheets, screen time, and books, but it's after they've learned the concept. It's for practice. And that we truly believe that.
And Anne and I have developed a maths program, a learning program for home educators. We've done it alongside other home educators. And for those of you who have more than one child, then we would say to you, it's that use books and computer screens and worksheets to give you the time with another child to introduce the concepts. So you introduce the concept with one child and then let them go and do their practice. And while they're practicing, then you can,
Go to another child.
That's
Or
it.
leave it. You know, they could be doing something else. Because with maths and different children, you don't have to say, right, this is the maths hour, we're all going to do it together. You're home educators. You choose your own times. And it could be the little one, you're doing counting. So, oh, I've got to go to the shops. Right, when we go to the shops, sit and count the bean cans on the shelf. Fine. An older child might need you to sit with them for a while. So the little one can be doing something else, maybe playing or something. Time management is hard. I know that. I'm not stupid. It's really hard. But if you can use 10 minutes here, half an hour there, they don't all have to be together. So just a thought. You know best how you work with your children. I'm not going to tell you. You know best.
We have got a really lovely video that one of our home educators made for us, where she talks about how she uses our program and how much and she is an unschooler, so she uses our program and looks at what she wants. What her son Caleb will tell her what he wants, what he's ready to learn, or what's interesting him at the moment, and then she just goes on, finds that. These are sort of things that we suggest she could do, and then changes it and uses it to a way that suits them. And it's such a shame you can't see it from her, because I know it's always good to hear from someone who's absolutely in your situation. If you were here with us last year, I think Sam would have met Helen last year, and she's exactly the same as she was then, except she's a lot fitter because she's running, and she's a lot leaner. But she's still as enthusiastic. Now, if we just show you, I hope I'm going to be able to screen share this, because it is just, that's it. So this is what our maths program looks like, and we have had, basically we devised this to help people use the concrete, pictorial, abstract method of supporting their child's maths learning. All of our activities.
Sorry. Can everybody see that clearly?
Well, if you can, Anne, they can.
No, I can't. That's why I'm asking.
You can't see it.
You can't see it clearly.
Oh, right. Oh, well, it's
okay. Carry on. Because once you get in at my.
I was just going to say it's pointless then, if nobody can see it.
No.
So basically, home educators told us they wanted some kind of program where it showed progression as you went through the levels, but the levels weren't clear, as in 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, or anything like that. So we chose the rainbow. So it is 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, if you know that. But we've had children or young people who were 13 and very seriously dyscalculic, and her mum started with her on the red, and she didn't know. She just said to her, look, you've got these problems, let's go back, let's start with a different way of learning. And now actually she doesn't use this anymore, because it's given the child enough confidence and enough knowledge in her maths understanding to be able to work in a more age appropriate way. So in one way that's a success, but we're very sad to lose her. But that's just how, you know, in a way it is a success, because
Yes.
it actually supported a child in a way that nobody else in all of her 13 years, everything her mum tried didn't work, and this worked. And now she's working not with her mum, she's working with a maths tutor, and working well with the maths tutor, because we gave her the confidence to know that actually she could learn maths, and that's really what that child needed. Even though at 13 she couldn't count regularly from 1 to 10 and back to 1 again.
Yeah.
If you, I'll go into just one topic and just show you. They're all looked at in the same way. We'll just have a look at come on. So every one of our activities, and Helen talks about this in her video, so if you get to see the video later, this is what she's talking about. It comes like this. So there's vocabulary, that is the fundamental vocabulary that when your child is counting, learning to count from 10 to 20, that's the vocabulary. And obviously that's quite simple, but in other concepts that becomes much more specific and much more mathematical vocabulary. This part, essential prior knowledge, it tells you, and Helen talks about this and how she always uses this in her video. She will say what she does is find something that Caleb says he wants to learn. Like yesterday on a journey home, Caleb said, they were talking about time and things, and Caleb said, I think I want to learn the 24-hour clock. So what Helen was about to do this morning was go on here, find the 24-hour clock activity, the beginning of it, and then look to see what the essential prior knowledge is, because she's learned that if she doesn't make sure he's got that prior knowledge, then actually that 24-hour clock activity is going to fail. So she relies quite strongly on this essential prior knowledge, because she likes to make sure that before he does an activity, he's got all the building blocks he needs to be able to be successful.
Yes, and that's the important thing, success. Because if you set your child up to fail, that knocks the confidence, makes them not like it, and makes them not want to do it.
And we know that you just, that sounded a bit harsh, Anne.
No, but it's actually, it is harsh, but true.
Yeah, but we know you don't purposely set your child up to fail.
You would, I'm sure nobody would, but unless you really know where they are, and what they need to know first, it's kind of built in, unfortunately.
Yeah, and this hints and tips basically is everything that Anne and I know about the difficulties children might come across while doing that particular activity. Good questions to ask them while they're doing it in order to ensure it's learned the right way. And everything, basically, if you use that, it's almost as if Anne or I are there doing it with your child, because that's everything we've learned about children learning that specific topic. And then down at the bottom this one's only got one activity. Some have more than one activity. Some tell you where to go on to next. Some give you suggestions of how you could change it slightly if you need to do it again. And things like, if you see here, look, we've got, can you see that clearly enough to see that there's some red numbers and some black numbers?
Yeah.
On that. Well, we've done that because we know that actually links with odds and evens as well. So all the time, what we do when we're making up devising new activities is we make sure that we do it so that, again, it's telling children, 1, 3, 5, 7 and 9, etc. all go together in a different, and a child might say, why is that red? And you could say, well, you have a look at those numbers, tell me why that one's red, why those might be red. So all the time it's consolidating, not necessarily just that one activity, but it consolidates other learning that that goes before.
Well,
So
yes, because maths is, after all, looking for patterns. There's a lot of patterns in maths. So if you can't connect things together, it makes it so much easier for the child to take it on board.
right, have there been any questions, Juliet, in that?
So guys, if you have any questions, please pop them in. If you can just put them in the chat, then I can read them out. Any questions? Now's your time.
It's all right.
We've only got 5 minutes left in here. So
All right, I see somebody's put there. Some people call this numeracy, not maths. I think it became
numeracy in primary schools,
and it was to try and focus teachers more on different aspects of maths. So numeracy was more about being number nimble, and it is just maths under another name. I mean, and nowadays they call it maths again. It's just one of those, you know, one of those things. I like that, Ruth. Our eldest loved to help her youngest siblings like this, and I think it's a resource that, as home educators, it is such a powerful thing you can do for an older child. And I don't mean necessarily older as in much older. I mean, that's one of the things I love about that Yorkshire farm is, if they're children with 9 children, obviously the children go off in different groups. Now, sometimes the child might be the youngest in that group, so the oldest usually leads the group. But another time, that youngest child in that group might be the oldest child, so they get to be the oldest and the youngest. And even if your child is only 6, if it's a 4-year-old or even a 5-year-old or somebody who doesn't understand it, age doesn't matter. And that is such a powerful tool to have at your disposal as a home educator.
Can I just reiterate, this website, you cannot sit your child at the computer screen and do it. It's something you have to work with them. But what we've written there is not for your child, it's for you. It's for the facilitator, to help them facilitate the child's maths. Just
And
everybody.
if you think your child is struggling or is not doing as well as they can with the maths curriculum that you're using, because it is all down to choice, there are other things out there. Ours is one of them, but ours is admittedly human heavy, because hand on heart we can say really it's the best way to learn maths, and that's the top and bottom of it.
So I hope that made sense, and I hope you take something from that.
And we apologize again that we couldn't use the clips, because obviously listening
we'll try and get them on, and the questions are already there, I think, but we'll try and get the clips on for you to have a look at, and hope it all makes sense when you see the clips.
that's great. Thank you very much. What's your website? Let me just put it, I can put it back just up in the chat here again.
www.i2i
like that. Can you, oh, you can't see it.
Shall I can do it. Shall
Yeah,
I?
if you can type that in, that would be great.
.co.uk.
Yeah.
There you go.
And Helen, if you get to watch the thing with Helen, by all means watch it. And what she says that the best resource behind our website is Anne and Pam. That's what she says, because our subscribers, if they have a little issue, they send us a quick email and we read it and we send them an idea back. And if it's, you know, we can explain why your child is doing it that way. Often we can do that. And if there's anything that needs more of an explanation, we often have a quick Zoom call, and you know, that all comes along with our Rainbow Ladder Maths program. And the other thing we're going to do, ladies, is we're going to be doing a podcast, home education, maths for home educators. We're in the process of
Sorting it, yeah.
So look out for that on your normal webcast provider, as they say on the telly.
Thanks ever so much for coming. It's been lovely to see you all.
And apologies again for it not being exactly how we wanted it to be.